A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for keeping it Y254 on this Wednesday morning. Welcome to another edition of Hello Day with me, Shiko Kaitani. Of course, taking over from my co-host, Mr. Barry Moses, Kalami Val, and Hilda Wadidi. Remember that SMS number is 22162. We do want to hear from you. Interact with us through that SMS number. And of course, please begin your text message with the words YM254. And we'll be sure to sample some of your text messages on this live broadcast. Now, on this Wednesday, we like to always focus on health. And today on Good Living, we focus on the condition known as hyperhidrosis, which simply means excessive sweating. Now, many times, of course, this can be quite embarrassing for many people who do have this condition. And so today we explore the causes of hyperhidrosis, how we can actually manage it, or if there's even a cure to excessive sweating. And of course, we're also going to learn how we can contribute to creating awareness through an upcoming event known as the Perfect Imperfection. So if you feel that this is the type of discussion that you can plug into, well, we'd love to hear from you today. So in studio with me, I'm so glad to have hyperhidrosis activist Martin Kimamo, as well as dermatologist Dr. Evans Kamuri, who is based at Kenyatta National Hospital. Welcome, gentlemen, to the studio.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm really glad that you're here because we're going to help a lot of people watching today. That's what I believe, yeah? And so, Dr. Terry, let's start off with you before Martin actually tells us his story about which areas of concern does one need to know about when it comes to this particular condition?
Yeah, the first thing is to ask what is hyperhidrosis. Hyper means excessive, hydrosis means sweating. But everybody sweats. At one point or another, depending on situations, depending on circumstances. But for something to be quantified as hyperhidrosis means the sweating that is specifically on some areas, especially the palms, the soles of the feet, the armpits. This is what we call palmar, plantar, axillary hyperhidrosis, means excessive sweating on those areas. Yeah. Some sweating have a reason. For example, when you're anxious, you sweat. When it's hot, you sweat, because sweating is a mechanism of the body to regulate your temperatures, your body temperatures. Yeah. So you cool as the sweat evaporates, you cool. It's also a mechanism of how to excrete some of the wastes in your from your body. However, this type of sweating we are calling now hyperhidrosis is sweating that is not triggered by any of those situations. These are sweating that you are not conscious about. It just happens. You can even sweat at night when you are asleep. You can sweat, but when you are anxious, now it even become worse. Yes. What causes it? The truth of the matter is nobody knows. It's actually a genetic thing. Some people sweat genetically. However, there are people who will sweat because they have other underlying conditions. So when any person comes with this excessive sweating, and it starts early, quite early. Most of the people will start it between 10-15 years, early in childhood. And then luckily some of them will outgrow it when they are 25 to 30 years. But when they come and they have this hyperhidrosis, we first rule out whether there could be any other organic cause that could be causing that problem. We check your thyroid. Some people will have endocrine problem, thyroid problem, diabetes, and other systemic disease. Once we rule out that those things don't exist, and we take a family history, whether somebody else in the family had it, then we target as idiopathic hyperhidrosis. Well, when we say idiopathic, is a joke we normally say in medicine, is because the doctor is an idiot and the patient is pathetic, because it just means idiopathic. Nobody actually knows what causes the problem. So that is the hyperhidrosis now we are talking about, involving the palms, the soles, and the armpits. And these are the people you will see, as Martin will demonstrate. Most of them cannot even write. They can't even shake hands, because every time they shake their hands, and they get so offended because when you shake their hands, then subconsciously you wipe you who has been greeted, you wipe your hands. They get so offended because, and with that they retract. They don't want to.
But what actually was very interesting to me is that even for me, before this, knowing about it, people don't actually view it as a condition.
Yes,
They didn't even know there was a term around it.
Yeah, you know something, when, especially as people from this region, when something does not pain and is not visible, people, it doesn't bother many people. It doesn't exist. But I will tell you, the people who have this condition, as I was telling you, it is really a bother. Some people have even, I have had some clients, I have a client who actually committed suicide because of that, it depressing them, the stigma, the burden that the stigma causes in them, especially for the young people. When they get to that level, there are times we get to that age when you want to be closer to some people, but your sweating is pushing you. Yeah, it's hindering you, you know. It end up causing, and even career choice. Yes, there are some careers you can imagine. If you are a machine operator and you are sweating, you are an artist, you are an architect, you want to draw neat, but you see, because of sweating, every time you touch you hold a pen, the sweat is dripping and such things. So we take a lot of time. The first thing we always insist, please, they need to be cancelled, so that you know it's not life-threatening. You help choose them, you choose their career as well, so that they can be able to cope up with their lives. And such things.
Okay, all right. So and that's why you're here, so we can find out remedies, solutions to this. Yeah, but Martin, thank you so much for being brave enough to actually share your story with us, and even actually come out and say, by the way, I am living with this particular condition. For you, when did you actually notice that, by the way, this is a condition, and you started looking for help? And what was it like? What has it been like for you over the years with this condition?
Well, I noticed about my excessive sweating way back in childhood, but mostly when I was enrolled in primary school. That's where I noticed the difference, that in a whole entire class I'm the only person who has sweaty palms, and I would mess up my exercise books, especially when it comes to doing homeworks. I would be flogged, like, seriously. But the greatest stigma that surrounds this condition is the social stigma. I would stay away from any physical contact. Me, I'm old school, so back in the days we used to do PE, the physical education.
Yes, PE, so you used to shy away.
So holding hands and all that, I'll shy off. I didn't want to. Because of the subconscious mind of always, you know, if I shake your hand and I'm sweaty, of course you're going to wipe the sweat off. So, and hyperhidrosis itself, it has the effects that comes along with it. The emotional problems, depression, decreased confidence, anxiety, all that. And at the time it was even tough for me, because my own parents didn't even know that hyperhidrosis is a medical condition. Myself, I didn't even know it was. It was up until 2007. On my way back home, my younger sister was watching the Tyra Banks show. And there was a young girl who was actually being bullied for a long period of time.
Because of excessive sweating.
Because of hyperhidrosis. So she reached out to her. So Tyra brought her to her show, on board her show, and there was a doctor. So the doctor was the one who explained the whole thing.
And then you came to understand it.
Now after I got the term and the medical condition, I started doing research from the onset till now. Yes, but it has not been an easy journey. Especially outgrowing the stigma. It's tough. It's a journey, it's a process. There are times where you feel like you're not good enough. There are times where you ask God, why do I have to go through all this? I remember instances such as getting my ID was a problem, because they need to take your fingerprints.
They need your thumbprint.
Getting my NSSF card was hell. The guy who was taking my prints was so brutal. He kept calling me names. And one of the phrases that stood up was when he looked at me and he told me, "I don't have patience for such people like you."
What?
That's what he said. The other instance was during the general election. Because of the biometric thing. It could only read my fingerprint up to 90%.
And then kept rejecting it.
It kept rejecting. The good thing is the stream I was in, it didn't have so many people. So they actually had to run my ID manually to get my details.
Wow.
I only voted once. I didn't do the rerun.
Yeah.
I refused.
Wow.
So I refused. But I've been through a string of rejection.
Yes.
I've been bullied. I've been called names. To reach to that point where you are bold enough to actually use your struggles to give someone else a voice, it takes time.
Yes.
It really takes time.
Yeah.
So one day I was at home and I kept asking myself, why is it that I'm going through all this?
Yeah.
And then it dawned to me that I actually have to use my struggles to reach out to someone else who's going through the same thing, but they don't have a support system. It's easier when you look at someone who's going through the same thing as you, and they're able to face life with everything that life throws on their way.
I like it. I like it. Thank you. Now, Dr. I know you mentioned earlier on that you do a lot of tests. But just let's expound a little bit more on that, because like I mean, even look at Martin's situation where he says, by the way, it gets in the way of your everyday life. But should one actually be worried? Let's stress on that point, that by there could be an underlying issue there.
One, majority of the cases, as I told you, nobody knows why it happens.
Yes.
It is idiopathic. It is genetic. It runs in family. Very majority of the cases that we are talking about will have no cause at all. It will have been there genetically, and nobody actually knows what triggers it, because it's a neuro issue.
Yeah.
And the few cases will not just have the hyperhidrosis of the palms and soles. They will have generalized sweating. These will be associated with thyroid. You know, the problem that people get goiter or something.
Yeah.
There is something called hyperthyroidism, excessive production of thyroid gland hormones because of overactivity of the thyroid gland.
Yes.
That will make people sweat. Sometimes diabetes, either sugars going up or sugar going down.
Yeah.
That can also cause
so
excessive
here
sweating.
you are thinking you probably have hyperhidrosis,
and
but
you
when
have
you
other
diabetes.
Yes, you have diabetes.
Okay.
And other conditions, other organic problems. So when people come, we first do a profile. We just do for you a profile.
Yeah.
We do your connective tissue problem. We do your nuclear test and such things.
Yeah.
But once we establish that you have no problem, most of the times, actually, the hyperhidrosis, you will diagnose it just by history taking.
Okay.
How have you been? When did it start? How does it come? And you see, this hyperhidrosis comes without any trigger. Okay. But like now, Martin will tell you, like now we are talking about it. He will tell you even now, the sweating is excess. When you start thinking about it, that's when it becomes worse. And the reason why I was telling you it becomes a problem is, even now when you start dating, you have been sweating, but when the anxiety of dating comes, the sweating even increases. So you see,
I like that. Yeah, when you start dating.
So when you start dating, even knowing she's coming, now you start sweating.
Martin, is that true?
No, yeah, you tell you. So now that
you go crazy on every first date.
Yes, now, and you see now, if that date doesn't come again, maybe he did not treat her well. That date doesn't come. Martin will say, it's because of my sweating, you know, such thing. And anyway, as on a night track, but I'm saying it ends up messing a lot of things in a day-to-day life. And if there is any reason why we like talking, and me and Martin, we like talking about it, so that we get people out of this stigma.
That's true.
That's one. Two, even these people who are like the IEBC fellas and the people of ID visa, they need to know. It's not when you go asking for a visa or to have your fingerprints taken, you came there voluntarily. It's not something you are coming to fuss around. So when they see you are sweating, it's not that it's something you have triggered a switch. Let me sweat now because I have to show this guy that I know how to sweat. You know, they should grow out of that and have some little form of understanding.
It's true. They need to be patient, by the way. Okay, so let's get to the big question here, which is treatment. Is there a treatment?
How do you treat it?
How do you treat it before we get to management? And I specifically actually want Martin to be the one to also tell us
on how to manage it, how to cope. For him, he needs to say how to cope. But from a doctor's point of view, hyperhidrosis has 4 approaches.
Okay.
One is to try and avoid sweating by the way you dress, the way you blah blah. But for medical point,
yes,
there is a drug we call aluminium hexahydrate.
Okay.
This one is just you apply the palms and soles at night, you reduce. It cannot stop. You reduce. It will reduce your sweating maybe by 40-50% so that it's not excessive.
Yes.
That's number one. Number two, there is a method we call iontophoresis.
Okay.
Iontophoresis means we put you on a certain machine which we pass a current in water. It's a simple procedure. You put your hands and feet inside. We pass a small current of electricity.
Yes.
It doesn't shock you. It just shocks the sweat glands. So it reduces. Again, this will reduce the sweating up to 70-80%.
Yeah.
And it is seasonal. You have to do an intensive phase, and then after that we do maintenance phase for maybe about a month or 2.
Okay.
Occasional. You do 2 weeks intense and then you do maintenance.
All right.
Again, this will reduce. The third thing is something called Botox.
Yes.
Botox is what people know that we use it for cosmetic. It makes people younger.
Yes.
Yeah, you inject, you will remain young forever, 16 forever.
Yes.
However, it paralyzes. The work of Botox is to paralyze the muscles.
Yes.
So we use the same mechanism because for you to sweat, the muscle, the smooth muscle of the sweat glands pushes the sweat out.
Yes.
So we actually inject, so we paralyze the smooth muscles of sweat gland, so you stop sweating. This will stop the sweating, both the arms, the feet, and the axilla for 1 year. After 1 year, the Botox, which is a protein, is a botulinum toxin derivative, will fade off. So that, again, you have to do it after every year.
But now, my question also is, for those who, by the way, don't see how they can afford that, what would you recommend?
One, if you can, the easier, the cheapest is the aluminium hexahydrate, the Dichler solution. You just apply, or you do the iontophoresis. Again, they're not expensive as such. You can manage. The most complex one now, which we don't advocate for young people, is what we call sympathectomy.
Yeah.
Sympathectomy means we go surgically, we get the nerves that stimulate the sweat glands and we cut it. It is not as easy as I'm putting it. It's one of the most meticulous surgical procedure, but it is done for those people who must be done.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good point there. Martin,
yes,
let's talk about coping. What do you recommend? Because right here we've got some of your things that you've come with, by the way, and I want to ask, for someone who has this condition, how should they dress? What should they always be carrying around? And, you know, give us some of those hacks that they can actually adopt every single day to at least manage.
Well, for the wardrobe choices, tend to go for more dark colors.
Dark colors, okay.
So like for me, black.
You have a lot of black in your wardrobe.
I do a lot of black.
Okay.
So I have my black t-shirt.
Yes.
For a shirt, I tend to go for something checked, but it has to be of more dark
colors, but
just dark related, yes.
And with a pattern.
Yeah, with a pattern. Okay. But that doesn't mean I don't have other variations. I do have a white t-shirt, but if I have to put it on, I have to carry a cardigan sweater or something with me. If you sweat on your palms, you need to make sure you at least have 3 to 4 pairs of handkerchiefs. 3 to 4 pairs of handkerchiefs. So you carry actually 3 or 4 pairs of hankies every day? Personally, I carry 2 because for the past 2 years, my sweating patterns have changed. Okay. Just slightly. Less. Yeah, they're becoming less. Yeah. So I'm studying my patterns. There are times when I know, I keep track. There are times where I sweat excessively. There are times which I don't. And part of the reasons why stuff have changed is because I started working out. Yes. I signed up to a workout facility. Yeah. I used to do before, but I wasn't serious about it. Now I started pushing. I work out from Monday to Monday. I changed my lifestyle. Yeah. I don't drink. It's been 4 years. Does diet actually help? And all that. I do a lot of just a whole 360 of myself. Yeah. And to bear in mind that whatever works for me it's not a guarantee to work for someone else. Yeah. That's why I keep doing a lot of research so that I can help those who have similar condition on how to cope with it. For the ladies who have hyperhidrosis, I know wearing heels and can be an issue.
Okay.
So in an office environment, just make sure you have a towel.
Always have a towel.
Just have a towel.
Yeah.
You can place it under your desk.
Okay.
And
So
rest
like on
your feet.
Uh-huh.
You can rest your feet.
Yes.
You can just open, rest your feet, and cover yourself, so that the more you sweat, you can just wipe sweat off using the towel.
Right, right. Okay, okay. I think I like that. In terms of home remedies, I understand that lemons actually work. Is that true? That can actually work as a good deodorant, helps even reduce sweat, but I don't know.
It doesn't.
I don't know. What kind of remedies would you recommend? What can someone do at home?
Well, at home, as Martin is saying,
Yeah.
you just control the things that make you sweat.
Yes.
Your dressing style, your washing patterns,
Yes.
your type of shoes, types of socks. We encourage wear cotton socks that absorbs. Don't wear high heels because you will slide and fall and break your.
That's not good news for ladies.
Yeah, and as you said,
Yeah.
carry 2 or 3 pairs
Okay.
of when you're at your working place. And especially for people who now, because there is a lot of sweating, and eventually they end up getting fungal infection, the white in between the toes.
Yes.
There you will find whitey stuff. That is because of the yeast.
Yeah.
So we encourage people drying their feet very well, changing shoes. Don't wear one shoe a whole week. Every day is the same one. Every day the same. Change them so that you give off so the shoe a break.
Yes.
And then change the socks. Don't recycle socks. Have them.
That is a problem with the men. Don't
I'm not
look
sure
at
with the men.
Don't look at the
looking at
ladies
you.
for that one.
I did not want to look at the men,
It's
but I'm saying it's just hygienic.
It's
and also,
true. Hygiene,
and also, if
hygiene.
you know you have, as Martin has said, if
Yeah.
you know you have that type of excessive sweating, don't wear tight things. Don't wear, and also use these roll-ons.
Yes.
Use those roll-ons that are anti-perspirants.
Right.
They will help you. They absorb, and because of to avoid the odor. Also wear strong colognes for men and also strong perfumes so that they can mask any form of odor that would come. However, the good thing about hyperhidrosis, the sweat that you produce does not smell. That is the only good thing, isn't it? Otherwise, people would be running away.
Okay, okay. All right, so very quickly, because we need to wrap up, Martin,
Yes.
tell us about this fantastic event you've got coming up known as the Perfect Imperfection, and let us know how we can plug in real quick so that we can actually get into our YouTube clip that my director has for us on the same topic. Yeah.
To break the stigma,
Yeah.
you have to talk about it. So on May 26th, as I turn 31, I'll be cycling from Nairobi to Kisumu to raise awareness on hyperhidrosis, the excessive sweating disorder. I've been training hard since last year
Yes.
for this event.
Wow.
Yes, cycling.
I don't know if my director has the poster that we can share actually on the screen, but just taking a look at it, you're actually going to cycle from Nairobi to Kisumu.
Yes,
Whoa,
for a week.
nice. Okay, so it's sweating. It's sweating to create awareness about sweat.
Yeah.
Cycle, sweat, reach out.
Okay, okay.
And I'm the sweat squad.
all right. Yes, that's nice. Okay,
The
so
sweat squad.
what are you planning on raising? Like how much? What's the
Well,
target here?
my goal
Yeah.
was to raise $1 million. That's on the higher side,
Yeah.
because currently to cycle all the way you need backup. You cannot cycle without backup. And on top of that, I'll be holding a 2-day conference
Yes.
in Kisumu at
Yes.
Polmas Hotel, where I'll be just to highlight more and to educate people about hyperhidrosis
Okay.
and ways they can manage.
Yeah.
I've also been sharing his contacts. They're also on public domain
Yes.
on where they can find him,
Okay.
together with other dermatologists who know the condition.
Yeah.
Because to treat something, you can't treat something you don't know.
That's true.
Yes.
Okay, great. I know that, of course, we can reach you on social media platforms. And, of course, if they are looking for Daktari, KNH is the
Yes.
place to go. Okay. But that being said, give us your social media handles. And I'm sure, I think my director definitely is going to pop them up on the screen. Yes, so that, in case anybody would like to get in touch with you.
Well, at HS Kenya,
Yeah.
that's Facebook. The page is Hyperhidrosis Awareness, the Perfect Imperfection. Instagram, Hyperhidrosis Kenya. Gmail, hyperhidrosiskenya@gmail.com. And on Twitter, Martin-Kims.
Yeah.
You'll find me there.
Okay, we're going to wish you all the best. Good luck with your event. We hope you manage to reach that target. And of course, we're behind you. Trust me, I love good initiatives like this, by the way, because you are helping people out there who don't have a voice, by the way. So congratulations for making it this far, Martin.
Thank you.
And Dr. Harry, thanks a lot for coming to studio with us. We'll be sure to pass by KNH.
Please pass by and help Martin. I don't know whether I'll be able to reach Westland cycling, but I'll cycle up to Westland on the way to Kisumu.
Very nice. All right, that is definitely Dr. Evans Kamuri, a dermatologist from KNH, and of course, a hyperhidrosis activist, Martin Kimamo, in studio with us, talking to us about the condition and how we can actually manage this. Of course, Martin is definitely open to receiving your requests, your concerns through his social media platform. So go ahead and also interact and see how you can also contribute by creating awareness through the event, The Perfect Imperfection.